You are listening to ChartingWealth.com for Tuesday, the 8th of November, 2016. We jump right into the markets. An up day over the course of the day before the election. If you listen to our past broadcast, you know that we do not recommend you being in the market in a virtual trade through something like this event because we don't know which way the market's going to go. Now, the market recovered some of the losses that it had seen over the last many days. We had candles going down since the 27th of October. Actually, we've been in a down move on our two-day chart since the 24th of August. So none of this is new. There is a recovery that has happened, but we don't have a crossover going up on our MACD, the moving average convergence divergence indicator, yet. Actually using the price percent oscillator, it's the same thing. Price percent oscillator simply uses price percentage instead of dollars to calculate. It's the same indicator. Basically, you can compare the PPO across other things easier than you can if you're just using dollars. It's easier to use percents. That's why we switched over to it. But what do we see? We have a green up candle for the first day of the two-day candle on the 7th. The derivative oscillator lost a lot of its energy, and we've had a kink over going up on the PPO toward the signal line. If we look intraday, what do we see on the 4-hour chart? Lots of up movement in the morning and the afternoon. Overall, the total market was up, the total market up 2.15% for the day, crossover going up, which is considered a pullback on our 4-hour chart, but still confirmed down moves on the big chart. Now, let's look at the S&P 500 as depicted by SPY. Another green up candle closed below the two-day trend line, below the weekly trend line, has not crossed over going up on the two-day chart, although it is heading toward that, potentially. Hasn't happened yet. It was heading toward it back on the 7th of October. So again, the market will turn up at times as long as it doesn't cross over. We don't have a confirmed crossover. We don't call it until that occurs. Remember, the big movement is still down. That's shown by the weekly chart. Now, let's look at what happened intraday in the S&P 500. What do we see? Well, it crossed over going up, crossed over in the morning, well, actually in the afternoon. Lots of up movement in the morning and the afternoon on the 4-hour chart, and it was up 2.21%. So it was up more than the total market. That is the S&P 500. Again, we don't recommend you stay in any of these if you were in a down move through the election because we don't know which way it's going to go for your practice trading. All right, let's look also at what's going on with the Qs. It was up 2.38%. This is what's interesting, though. Of all the other charts, we saw up movement, but the Qs, we did have up movement, but it's really a spinning top as far as our Heikin Ashi candlestick goes. Large up wick, a down wick, about half the length of the up wick, and we have a small body all within inside the down movement on the prior two-day chart. What's interesting also is the derivative oscillator actually gained downward momentum, and the PPO, or the MACD, the moving average convergence divergence indicator, is still headed down along with the signal line. Very interesting as far as what the Qs, the technology stocks, the Nasdaq 100 was doing. If we look intraday, we can see there was a lot of up movement in the morning, followed by more up movement in the afternoon. Didn't quite cross over going up. Again, all of these indexes still in confirmed down moves. So again, don't recommend, as we've said previously, you take risks and go through things like an election. No one knows which way the market's going to go. I have friends that are betting the market is going down, but again, you want to be a gambler, go to Vegas. Gambling in the stock market is not the way to go. It's not the way that you get good at doing this and reading these charts, by taking risks you don't need to. Now, let's take a look at gold. Finally, gold down 1.80% for the day. Gold is still in a confirmed up move on the two-day chart. Derivative oscillator continued to gain energy. Quite interesting, even though Gold was technically down for the day, just under 2%. Let's take a look at what our 4-hour, which is the real prescient chart for us, it actually crossed over going down. Now that's quite interesting. Gold had actually lost some energy on Friday afternoon, the 4th, and then opened the day down significantly, followed by a little bit more down movement, still above the 2-day trend line. That hasn't crossed over yet. So again, interesting what's happened in gold. Our 4-hour chart tends to be our prescient chart. Your guess is as good as mine, and we don't make guesses here. We want to make educated moves, and it's hard to do that when you have such a seminal event coming up like a presidential election, particularly this presidential election. So what do? You get yourself out of the market. You watch how things go through the election, and then if indeed after everything cleans out, we see good signals that the market's moving in a direction either up or down. We have the backup on the 4-hour chart and we can jump back in. That's all great and good, but we don't do foolish things. That's not what we teach. Other people may, but that's not what we teach. Why? Because the first thing we want to do is preserve capital. The second thing we want to do is make money off that capital that we're preserving. If you've not already listened to our How to Read a Stock Chart video, you don't already have our daily market worksheet, and you don't have the layout that we use at freestockcharts.com, you can get all those by simply going to chartingwealth.com, signing up for our newsletter, and you will receive a video podcast every day of exactly what you're listening to or watching now. You'll also get our weekly review and forecast. You'll also get all of our training and everything else that is available, and you'll get those 3 goodies as a bonus. We appreciate you being with us. You want to help us out? Go to our iTunes channel. Go to Charting Wealth. Look it up on iTunes. Subscribe to it. Give us a 5-star rating. Say something nice about us. Also, you can subscribe to us on YouTube, and you go to chartingwealth.com, sign up for our daily newsletter, and we will do all we can to help you learn how to read these charts. Because, my friends, if you can read a chart, it is potentially your roadmap to riches. Again, get into those virtual trades, set yourself up an online virtual trading account, and once you get good at this, you can make your own decisions. We're not a stock calling service. We're an education firm. We want you to practice with us, and when you get good, you can make up your own mind as to what you are to do. God bless. Thanks so much from chartingwealth.com.